Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Any Given Day podcast. In today's episode, we're going to start off with some big news. The GOAT is retired. We're also going to be talking about some coaching changes, some more roster movements, and some big penalties that have been levied on a certain program. So sit back, relax, and get ready for another exciting episode of the Any Given Day podcast. Welcome back, everybody. So obviously, we'll start this episode off with the biggest news of this last week. Nick Saban, the GOAT, has retired. I don't know about you, Hunter, but I think that this completely changes the face of college football. The entire landscape of college football is just changed now because, like I said, the GOAT, really arguably the greatest coach of all time in college football, is now gone. And so it seems basically that things are wide open for anybody now.
Yeah, no, you're right. It really is. I never thought this day would come. I thought he was going to croak out on the sideline one day, just arguing about some kind of penalty or some kind of no call or something. But no, he just he retired. It's astounding and still surreal, even like a week later. You know, I know we had talked about possibly doing an emergency podcast, but I wasn't able to be ready for it at the time, which kind of sucked, but is what it is,
Right.
And it's so weird. It's still so weird that he's retired. I keep expecting oh, we got you, but no, he's hung it up. He really has, and I guess that kind of leads into the next subject. They've already got his replacement, Kalen DeBoer from Washington, which has honestly set off a huge chain of dominoes. And I think that's the biggest thing right here is Kalen DeBoer getting hired over there has been the biggest change, or the biggest impact, I would say, because it has the biggest domino effect.
Yes. I mean, he's a good coach, right? I mean, obviously he just took Washington to an undefeated regular season and took him to a national championship game, so he can do it. What I think will be interesting is to see if he can recruit, that southeast of the United States. Can he recruit well enough to do it? Because that's going to be the key to success at Alabama is being able to recruit, this area, that area of the country. I mean, a lot of your best talent comes from this, Florida, Georgia, Texas. It comes from the South.
Mm-hmm.
And can he recruit it? That seems like a major question for a lot of people, especially for me. He's gonna have to figure it out, get somebody on staff, something that can recruit this area. Otherwise, I don't know how long he's gonna be there.
Yeah, and that's still not even enough. That's like the one thing for him, right? Literally the one thing. Because he's a big X's and O's guy. Like, I don't know how many times he played against teams that had better rosters than him, and they won the game because of his play calling. He's a great coach. Great coach. Recruiter, we don't know yet. And we're really fixing to see that be put to the test because, there's been a bunch of things, and we'll get to some other things, right? But with DeBoer leaving Washington, and taking the head coaching job over at Alabama, he brought Ryan Grubb with him, his OC. You have Kane Womack, who was the head coach over at South Alabama. He's now gone and gone to Tuscaloosa to be the new defensive coordinator there. That was a bit of a shakeup. And that was after the entire debacle with Travaris Robinson and Will Muschamp.
Yeah.
So Will Muschamp basically stepped down as co-DC and safeties coach to, he stepped down to a defensive analyst role, so he's still there with the staff. He's just not an on-the-field coach anymore. And so he did that to spend more time with his family, and he from what I can gather, he was basically like, I'm going to step down for one guy and one guy alone, and that was Travaris Robinson, who served on his staff over at South Carolina. I think he was defensive coordinator over at South Carolina while Muschamp was head coach there. So that's a guy he knows and a guy he trusts. Oh, also, he happened to be Alabama's safeties coach, who basically was told, yeah, we don't really think we need you to be our next defensive coordinator here at Alabama by Kalen DeBoer. And then that was an entire insane fiasco for like 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy back and forth. Like you said, I mean, obviously they offered him basically just the DC job in name, but not really any, of the responsibilities of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, okay, well, I'll just go to Georgia. Then they went, wait a minute, never mind, we'll just give you the full DC job, play calling duties, everything. And he went, no, I'll just stay at Georgia because obviously you didn't offer it to me in the first place. You didn't really want me to have it anyways. You're just trying to get me back because you don't like where I'm going. And tried to get him back.
It sounds to me like Saban went and now, and this is the whole thing. Saban's staying on as an advisor for the football team and for the school. So he's already got an office over at Bryant-Denny that he's probably moved all of his stuff into and everything. So for him, that was probably like his first advisory move. Hey, you screwed up. Get this guy back. Don't let him go there, because if you do, everything's gone. Everything's gone. It's just a huge impact. And like I said, with DeBoer leaving Washington and basically bringing a good chunk of his staff, I'm kind of surprised Washington didn't try to go and offer Grubb the head coaching spot, but they ended up taking Jed Fish from Arizona, which is a steal of a hire, and I can't believe Arizona let him go.
Yeah. I mean, with what he did at Arizona and had them, competing, I mean, they had a shot there at the end, an outside shot anyways. It would have taken, it wasn't, they didn't control their destiny, but they had a shot there at the end to be possibly in a Pac-12 championship game this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's huge for Washington to get a guy that just took an Arizona team that was not very good last year to a 10-win team this year.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest question of him leaving Arizona is, does Noah Fafita stay? I mean, I know he's still there. He hadn't entered the transfer portal, but does he stay at Arizona? Or does he follow Jed Fish to Washington? Because Washington needs a quarterback now.
I wouldn't be shocked one way or the other. I really wouldn't. And we'll definitely get into the whole Washington definitely needs a quarterback, because spoiler alert, Will Rogers transferred again. But no, why Jed Fish took the Washington job, right?
No.
So apparently his contract with Arizona was fixing to come up, and Arizona, even with as good as he did this year, didn't feel the need to go and try and push for a renewal. Basically, they were fixing to let his contract go and expire over the next year or two, and then try and decide things from there. And it's like, he literally just led your team to a 10-win season. If he had Fafita in at quarterback sooner, possibly an 11-12 win season. We don't really know.
Yeah, especially with you going into the Big 12 next year, that conference is wide open. I mean, Kansas State is the best remaining team, and they don't even know who their quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, basically.
So,
I mean, it was wide open.
Wide open.
There goes my my way too early prediction. That's why they're called that, because
it changed literally in a week.
Exactly. Frustration mounting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been that seems like a very dumb move, and I think it's going to come back to bite them because obviously they hired Brett Brennan
Mm-hmm.
as their new head coach, San Jose State's head coach.
Yep.
And at San Jose State, he had a 34-48 record, three bowl games, won three bowl games. I don't know if they know something that we don't, but to me,
They
it
better
just
pray
doesn't
they do.
seem like a. I mean, it doesn't seem like I know in years past Arizona wasn't really a job where you go, okay, yeah, a big coach is going to take that job. That seems like a transitional place. But with how they did last year and the talent they had, I mean, they could have got somebody, and they had to settle for a San Jose State head coach who, while he wasn't awful, he wasn't great either. I mean, they San Jose State was a pretty good team, and then he gets there and they had like a 2-win season, another 2-win season, a 4-win season, and then went 7-0 in 2020, and then lost to guess who, Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
in their bowl game.
Yep.
So it just seems like it's going to be a big mistake from Arizona to let Jed Fish leave.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think it's going to come back to bite them bad.
It really will. The crazy thing about all of this though is when I first started typing everything up for this script this week, I thought the big thing was this last little thing we're fixing to talk about. I thought this would be the biggest thing, and then like a day later, Saban retired. Cadillac Williams resigned from Auburn last week, which I just
Interesting.
like it's interesting, but with everything else that happened this week, it was kind of like,
I
oh,
mean, now it seems meh, but
which is sad, which is
right,
sad because that dude is beloved by Auburn fans, and it's meh because Saban retired.
which led to all the other moves we just talked about.
Exactly.
The dominoes just fell
Well,
quickly.
I mean, Toomer's corner got rolled because Saban retired, so there's that.
Did
Like,
Cadillac Williams give a reason why he resigned, or did he just
and not really.
resign?
Just he resigned. He put out a statement, just saying he felt the time was right to move on. And I'm just like,
Mm,
what is happening over there? You know?
interesting.
But I'll also say this right now. And this entire episode, other than towards the end when we talk about some of the Florida State stuff, it's basically just the impact on Saban retiring, on how that is affected, right? Like affected everything.
Pretty much. I mean, there's
You got
still. I mean, one more thing that we forgot to put in there. It happened today, but Major Applewhite, new
yeah,
head coach of South Alabama, another
exactly.
domino in the Saban retiring tree right there.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean,
I
it, this whole
we're
episode is
speechless.
what's happened because Nick Saban retired. Pretty
Basically,
much.
it's
There's a couple things that don't have to do with him, but pretty much this is the dominoes of Nick Saban finally deciding to retire from college football.
I got the title for the episode. Saban Chaos Theory.
You ain't kidding, dude.
I
This is
mean, is it
ridiculous.
not?
It,
Put that on a shirt.
I
Trademark it.
mean, it's crazy how much has happened just because Nick Saban retired. I get it.
Yep. Oh, trust me, I do too. It's still a shock,
But
but
it's crazy.
it really is. But hey, you do know one good thing to come out of this, right?
Well, there's a lot of people in the transfer portal now.
No. No, we finally know who's going to be on the cover of the NCAA game. It's got to be Nick Saban.
No.
Yeah, got to be him. That's the GOAT, man.
I don't know if he'll be on the. I could see them making a GOAT edition or something, like make it a special edition, call it like the GOAT edition, and have Saban on the cover. But I feel like they're gonna have a player on the cover of the first game back. Although,
what
Saban
player
being on the cover, I don't know. I have no idea who it could be. Noah Fafita,
Jaden Daniels,
Jane. I don't know if they're
Heisman
gonna
winner?
go with somebody. The problem with it is, obviously, with the old games, they obviously just put somebody that was now in the NFL on the cover. Now they don't have to. So, obviously, Jaden Daniels is going to be in the NFL and won't be in the game whenever the game comes out.
Well, you can't put J.J. McCarthy or Blake Corum on there because
they're also going to be in the NFL.
Once again, spoiler alert, they declared for the draft, people.
I mean, I don't know who else you could put. I mean,
because most of the top end guys are going to the NFL.
I mean, like Caleb Williams, you can't be. I mean, he's in the NFL. Drake May, NFL. Jaden Daniels, NFL. Michael Penix, NFL.
The only guys I'm thinking of right off the top of my head would be if Alabama or Georgia had won the national championship this year, you could have thrown Jalen Milroe or Carson Beck on there.
Right.
But, because they're both coming back, but...
Here's a sneaky pick. Ollie Gordon.
Ooh.
Right?
I actually like it.
I just thought of it, but that's a sneaky pick. I mean, really good player coming back next year. Interesting.
Yeah. I could see that. Quinn Ewers.
That could be a big one.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you could see maybe a Milroe on there. You could see Carson Beck, Ewers. If they want to go crazy, they could put Arch Manning on there.
That'd be insane. That would legit
That would be insane. Not even taking a meaningful snap of college football yet. And he's like, yep, on the cover.
Yeah, just because of his last name.
It'd be like Peyton Hillis being on the cover of Madden.
To be fair, Peyton Hillis is a hero.
He was good for that 1 year.
No, I'm talking about after that. He went and he jumped into a lake to save his, his niece and nephew, two of his nephews or something like that. You
can't hate on the guy too much.
Oh, no.
He wasn't a great football player. Great person.
Great fullback.
Decent football player.
Put it this way.
Not a great fullback, not a great running back.
What he accomplished at his specific position with the organization he was at, he was a great player. He was a fullback who had over 1,000 yards rushing.
Yes. So is Kyle Juszczyk, but you don't see people getting Kyle Juszczyk jerseys. Right.
Actually, you do, and two, this was in one season that he did it.
This is not the point.
So, anyways, and I think he was voted on by the players to put him on the Madden cover.
I don't hate Peyton Hillis. I just don't think he's that great of a football player.
I don't know. I think you're hating on Arkansas legend Peyton Hillis.
He had one good year in the NFL, and they put him on the cover. He deserved the cover for that 1 year, but now he's immortalized as being on a cover for one good year.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Anyways, back to college football.
Jesus. I guess we'll. You want to hit the big news first on the transfer portal, or you want to start off small and get to the big news?
I think we need to start off small, because if we get to talking about the big news first, then we're going to be talking about it forever.
This is true.
So
we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Then
we'll do the run throughs. Former Texas A&M wide receiver Evan Stewart, who once again was in the transfer portal. He's officially committed to Oregon now. Another steal by Dan Lanning. The dude does he knows how to do his job.
Team's
He
gonna be
knows how
good
to
next
get
year.
what he needs. Oregon's going to be a threat again next year. I would say as of right now, and I'm only saying this because we don't know what Ohio State's quarterback position or quarterback situation is. We don't know if Harbaugh's going to be back next year. And even then, we don't know what their quarterback situation is next year. I would say Oregon is the odds-on favorite right now to win the Big Ten. So, and that just adds to it.
I agree.
Then you have Alabama wide receiver Isaiah Bond. He's entered the transfer portal. He's now officially committed to Texas. Go figure. Texas getting a former
I have a
SEC.
question. I have a question about that.
Hmm?
Do you think there was some tampering going on? Because he was like in the portal for like maybe a full day, maybe, and immediately committed to Texas.
I would not be surprised if it was the same situation that A.D. Mitchell had, where he probably had already gotten calls throughout the year and then decided, well, I'll finish it out with this team and then I'll go over there. They got this money for me, which isn't technically illegal somehow.
Apparently,
No, like I'm not even joking. I'm not even cracking a joke about it. Apparently, it's not illegal, frowned upon by other coaches, but
apparently not. It should be illegal,
they
but
still
that's
don't
not
have
the
all
point.
these. They still don't have all these rules strung out for the NIL and transfer portal. So it is what it is. But go figure. Like I said earlier, Will Rogers has officially re-entered the transfer portal.
I
I
think
don't know where
Alabama
he's
could be a spot. Honestly, I don't know.
possibly. But if DeBoer goes and brings in Will Rogers and goes and starts him over Jalen Milroe, which would be a better fit for his offense now,
Yes,
but the Bama fans, T-Town might catch on fire if that happens.
you ain't kidding.
Like that riots possibly. Anyways, former Washington State quarterback Cam Ward, who basically said he was going to declare for the draft after entering the transfer portal, has now backed out from that and has now committed to Miami. I really don't know how to feel about this one, honestly.
I mean, if he didn't enter the draft, he was a late maybe day 3 pick. I mean,
He was day 3 pick all day.
Probably 7th round, if not an undrafted free agent. So it made sense for him to come back. I don't know how much I like Miami being where he went because they're kind of a question mark. But he needed to come back to college. He didn't need to go to the NFL draft. He wasn't going to get drafted high enough. He can come back this year and have a good year and then maybe get drafted, 3rd round, 4th round, maybe. If he really balls out, he could have, he could be a 1st, 2nd round pick. But if he didn't come back, he was not going to get drafted or be a 7th round pick, probably.
Yeah. Is he of the three Power 5 schools? I say 3 Power 5. There's technically 4 with UCF. Of those 4 schools, UCF, Florida State, Florida, and Miami, which one has the best quarterback situation right now?
Has Florida State brought anybody in yet at quarterback?
DJU.
That's right.
And UCF brought in KJ Jefferson.
You went to UCF? Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then Florida's got Graham Mertz. Miami's got Cam Ward. Honestly, Florida State, probably.
I'm liable to agree with you on that. Just because of Mike Norvell.
Yeah. If I had to rank them, it's probably Florida State, then Florida, then UCF, then Miami.
Wow.
Or Miami, then UCF. Miami and UCF are really close, in my opinion. Cam Ward's a really good quarterback, but Miami as a team isn't really great, and I think that could drag Cam Ward down a little bit.
Okay. Okay, what if I were to tell you this, though? Do you know who the offense coordinator was when Cam Newton was over at Auburn?
No, it's been too long.
If I remember correctly, it was Gus Malzahn. And now you get
I couldn't remember.
another big-bodied quarterback. I'm not going to compare him to Cam Newton. I'm not going to compare KJ Jefferson to Cam Newton.
They are similar.
But similar style of quarterback? Maybe.
I couldn't remember if he had an OC or if he was just calling the plays as a head coach.
No, Malzahn was that was Chiswick was still head coach.
Oh, it was Chiswick, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, that was forever ago. Good lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, 2012, wasn't it?
2010.
2010?
Yep.
Oof.
So let's see. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe 2011? No.
I thought it was 2012 because that's the year they played Florida State in the national championship and lost.
No, that was 2013.
Was that 2013?
Yeah, Jameis Winston.
Oh, it was Winston, wasn't it?
Anyway, but just a little. I think I have Florida State number 1, followed by if Malzahn can get that offense clicking like it did over at Auburn that year with KJ Jefferson, then I'd put him at number 2. I'd only put him at number 2 because Mike Norvell, overall, I would trust him to call offensive scheme better than I would Malzahn, because Malzahn's liable to run you off the damn cliff. Gus Bus, full steam ahead, baby. I'll never forgive him. And then from there, I'd go Cam Ward, and then Florida. Actually, I'd go Graham Mertz. Solely based on potential. Only on potential.
That's fair.
Because, anyways. Moving on, we've already talked about this. JJ McCarthy, Blake Corum, they've both declared for the NFL draft. Bit of a loss, I'd say, for Michigan, obviously. I don't know if Donovan Edwards declared for the draft or not, but
no, he said he's coming back.
Ooh.
He announced he's coming back.
If he can go off like he did during the national championship game for the season, dude, they might still have a bit of a running back right there. Not a bit of one. Anyways,
yeah.
Moving on to the last bit of news before we really get to the 2 big names that entered. Talia Tagovailoa. So basically, he entered the transfer portal without any eligibility. He then submitted a waiver to the NCAA to hopefully get granted another year of eligibility so he could play another year of college football. And then they denied it. And that was after Nick Saban had wrote a letter to the NCAA basically backing Talia and saying, hey, I'm one of his former coaches. I'm all for this. Please give this kid another year. It's a bit weird, don't you think?
Yeah, the timing's a bit weird. I mean, it's just weird that he would. I mean, I get it because he's very close with the Tagovailoa family.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, having coached both of them, and I get it, but the timing was just weird. Seems tampery, but I don't know.
I wouldn't even say tampery. I think maybe that was the guy. He might have been trying to do. Who knows? Who knows? We won't get too far into that. We won't do
tinfoil hat,
Yeah, tinfoil hats, all that. Finally, moving on to the big pieces of the transfer portal. Basically the entirety of Alabama's roster at this point. But some big names were, I think, both of their starting tackles. Did J.C. Latham declare for the draft, or did he enter the transfer portal?
I think he entered the transfer portal.
Oof. So if he did, then that would make both of their starting tackles, including Caden Proctor, who was a true freshman this year and started every game for him. He's also now officially entered the transfer portal. Their starting center entered the transfer portal, and I think he's going up to Ohio State now. But that pales in comparison to this next name. Caleb Downs has entered the transfer portal. And as of right now, at 12:40 in the morning on Thursday, January 18th, all signs point to Georgia as a possible landing spot. What you got to say about it? I'll let you go first.
I mean, obviously, Ohio State and Georgia are the favorites. That you need to watch in this one. Obviously, he's an elite player, and I mean, he's second team All American and first team All American, depending on which publication you look at. And he's first team All SEC. He was the first freshman to lead Alabama in tackles in forever. A very long time. So he's a legit dude. And he's a really good safety. Obviously, got 3 years of eligibility left.
Mm-hmm. He's only
Whoever
going to need
gets him,
to.
yeah. I mean, whoever gets him is going to have an elite safety. And according to his dad, anyways, they want to get it done in 48 hours. That was about 24 hours ago. 16, 24 hours ago. So I'd expect something in the next day and a half. Because obviously classes have already been started and everything like that. So he's going to have to make a decision pretty soon to get into school and get his classes set up and everything so he can be in class. So expect a decision here in the next 24 hours, 36 hours.
It'll probably be announced by the time I wake up in the morning or something like that. We wake up in the morning, something. I wouldn't be shocked.
It's highly possible. Something's going to happen soon. So,
because I'll be honest, I went to bed last night thinking, oh well, he hasn't entered yet. Guess it's not going to happen. Because you'd been hearing rumors with all these other departures from Alabama. You'd been hearing rumors. Oh, Caleb Downs might be going to the transfer portal, might be doing this. He didn't enter. And then, this morning I wake up to the ESPN alert. Hey, Caleb Downs is fixing to enter the transfer portal. And it's like, oh boy. Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I recorded Feinbaum today, people. It's Cabot. Saban Chaos Theory at its finest. It's astounding, confounding, and I don't know how to feel right now with all of this stuff that's happened. It's just crazy to think that one coach retiring would do all of this, but it's not. But it's not just one coach, is it?
No.
It's Nick Saban.
Yeah. And it's greatest coach of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, you almost have to expect this sort of chaos when arguably the greatest coach of all time retires. Because a lot of kids go to school, to be coached by him. And he's not there anymore. So naturally, they're going to want to go somewhere else sometimes. Not all of them, but some of them might want to go somewhere else because they went there to be coached by Nick Saban.
Actually, I think you just answered the question I was fixing to ask. What does this say about all these kids? Did they go there for Alabama to play at Alabama, or did they go to play for the logo, or did they go to play for Coach Saban and get coached by him? Now all of a sudden, I literally think you just answered it right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a whole new team. I know I was reading a Steve Wiltfong article on 24/7, and his dad, Caleb Downs' dad, was talking about it, and he said it's basically a whole new team. He said all the, his safeties coach is obviously gone now. A lot of the guys, Nick Saban obviously is gone now. So a lot of the guys that were coaching him, his coaches, are now gone. It's basically a completely new team. Alabama isn't what it was when he committed there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know the guy who recruited him, right?
Travaris Robinson.
Exactly. Once again, I think that leads into my theory that Saban kind of got onto DeBoer and was like, "You get him back now, or else everything unwinds." Just a little tinfoil hat, but on that one. But
Jesus.
it's I never thought I'd see the day with all this stuff with the transfer portal and Alabama, and you got all these Alabama fans. I not every one of them, but you got some. You got the vocal minority on Twitter who are just losing it with Downs entering the transfer portal. They're claiming it wasn't fair. It's not fair. It's broken. You have people who work over at On3 even claiming it's broken and all that. And it's like, it wasn't broken when Garrett Wilson left Ohio State to go to Alabama. It wasn't broken when Jermaine Burton, after winning a natty with Georgia, decided to do what was best for his family and go over to Alabama to compete for national titles over there. It wasn't broken then. Why is it broken now? It's not.
I agree. Right. I mean, it's the way the cookie crumbles, right? I mean, when you have Nick Saban, obviously that transfer portal works in your favor a lot. And now that you've lost him, now you're seeing what a lot of these programs see, where kids are leaving because you don't have the GOAT anymore. You got just another guy. So it's tough luck, but I mean, it's football. It's the way that that college football is now. With the transfer portal, you can transfer as many times as you want and play immediately. And I mean, you can't hold the kids hostage, right? You can't sit there and say, well, your coach retired, but tough luck. You're stuck here. Like,
You can't.
I mean, no. I mean, it's not right to the kids. Because if a coach can just up and leave halfway through a contract after recruiting kids all year, acting like he's going to be there, it's not fair for a coach to be able to just up and leave whenever he wants to for more money, but then the players are then stuck at this school without the coach that they recruited by that they wanted to play for.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to some other news. Just when we think it can't get worse for Florida State with all the stuff that happened to them right at the end of the season, it did. Somehow.
You ain't kidding.
They've been penalized. They got, and I don't know. Do you want me to tell you basically what the penalty's for, or do you want me to go and run through what all they've been penalized with before I tell you what it's for?
I mean, you can go ahead and tell me. I know what it is, but I'll let you tell me.
So, for those of you watching and listening who don't know, Florida State got penalized for when Amarius Mims, who's declared for the draft from Georgia, who was over at Georgia, entered the transfer portal for a little bit. 2 years ago, was it?
A year ago, 2 years ago? I think it's 2 years ago. He was a true freshman. He had just gotten through his true freshman season.
Yes, so it was 2 years ago. So they basically were recruiting him while he was in the transfer portal. It got kind of stupid. Like, a coach basically drove him somewhere. You're not supposed to do that. This is right before NIL too, if I remember correctly. Or
it was right at the start of it.
Right at the start of it. So right before all these rules got implemented and stuff of that nature. So apparently a coach drove him to a meeting with a booster that booster went and offered him some money to go there. That basically amounts to what it was. And because of that, they are now Florida State is now on probation for the next 2 years with a 2-year show cause order for the assistant coach, including a suspension for the next 3 regular season games and a 2-week restriction on recruiting, communication, and required attendance at an NCAA regional rules seminar. Not just that, the assistant coach they're talking about was their offensive coordinator. Yeah. It also has a restriction from off-campus recruiting during the fall of 2023 for the OC, and a 3-year disassociation from the booster who offered money, along with a 1-year disassociation from the booster collective. Now, if that's what I think it is, that's the main source of their NIL money. If it's the collective, if it's their main school collective.
It's all their NIL money.
Basically, yeah.
So basically, they're gonna have no money to offer any kids any NIL money for the next year.
Yeah, oofa. This is almost as bad as Texas A&M offering nuclear codes. That was something that happened apparently too.
Yeah.
I'm not even touching that one with a 20-foot pole. Okay, but that's not all of the penalties. There's several more. There's a $5,000 fine plus 1% of the football budget, a 5% reduction in football scholarships over the 2-year probationary period, amounting to a total reduction of 5 scholarships, which that might not seem like much, but it is.
It adds up, yeah.
A reduction in official paid visits. So that's basically what an official visit is. An official visit is when the school pays for a certain player to come there, right? So a reduction in those. In the football program for the entire next year by 7. So they've lost 7 official visits that they can go and pay for. They've lost 7 of those. And the school will also not roll over the 6 unused official visits. The 6 unused visits that they had from this past year won't roll over, which is
massive.
I would think. Along with a reduction in football recruiting communications for a total of 6 weeks during the 2023 to 2024 and 2024 to 2025 academic years, along with finally a reduction in the number of in-person recruiting days during the 2023 to 2024 academic year by 6 evaluation days during the fall of 2023 and 18 during the spring of 2024. This is actually huge, right?
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot for one player. It just keeps getting worse for Florida State, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing is, right before we got on here, another thing happened. The ACC is seeking an injunction against Florida State, which would basically cut Florida State out of all the ACC affairs, right? Florida State would not be able to vote as a member of the ACC on anything until this entire ordeal between them and the ACC is solved, which is massive because basically the ACC, if this injunction gets passed, for all intents and purposes, as far as I know, I ain't no lawyer or anything. As far as I know, though, that injunction gets passed and Florida State can't vote on anything. ACC can go and cast the vote to go and get them kicked from the revenue share or something like that, for all we know.
Right.
Like I said, it's late and I'm tired and I'm no lawyer, but that's what I'm thinking, right? And this is all because Florida State's, they're attempting to withdraw from the ACC's grant of rights. They're basically trying to leave the ACC, and the ACC's like, screw you. You want to leave, then guess what? You can't vote on anything while you're doing this. So that's what they're trying to do. it's
Crazy.
yeah, it really is. Say, you know, we can talk about all this, but honestly, I just got one last question before
What?
we really realistically just end it for the night and end this episode. Where is Florida State going to go if they do leave the ACC?
The American Conference?
That ain't right.
I mean, they can't go to the SEC. The SEC don't want them.
Why not, though?
Makes no sense.
You say it makes no sense. I say it makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense in the sense of it's a big program, but at the same time, the SEC's already said they're not interested in adding any more teams. They're
Oh,
perfectly
please.
content with the teams they want.
Like Greg Sankey wouldn't jump on the opportunity to go and add Florida State. Have the
Yeah,
Sunshine Showdown be a all SEC matchup.
I mean, I agree, but I just don't think it's going to happen. If they're going to go to any Power 5 team, and Power 5 conference, Power 4, whatever the hell they are now, it would be the Big Ten,
Ugh.
which is going to be a logistical nightmare.
Exactly.
But the ACC is also going to be a logistical nightmare with
Yeah,
Stanford and Cal joining.
don't forget the Mustangs of SMU.
And SMU, yeah. That's going to be a logistical nightmare. Really, the only non-logistical nightmare would be the SEC.
Exactly.
But then you'd have to convince Clemson to come too, because I don't think the SEC would want to just add them. They're going to want to add both, and then to get another team out of the ACC, then it's going to be another big battle to try and get them out. And the thing is, I don't know if Florida State can get out of this. It seems, from what I've read, it's pretty much ironclad that there's not really a way for them to get out without paying a crap ton
Exorbitant.
of money. So
Exorbitant amount of fees.
at this point, I don't really think there's a way they can get out.
Well, we'll see. Maybe something will happen over this next week. Not like a lot didn't already happen.
Right.
Literally the day after the last podcast, Saban retires. Cannot believe it. Anyways,
Caleb Downs is going to commit tomorrow.
I mean, do you just want to do like an emergency 5-minute episode tomorrow if he does commit?
Probably.
Okay. Anyways, that's all I got for everyone.
Yep.
You got anything?
All right. Nope. That's it.
Okay, it's late. I'm going to bed.
Yep. Me too. All right. Well, everybody have a good morning, afternoon, night, whenever you're listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
Have a nice, safe drive to work.
Definitely that. But also, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and all that's free, guys. It helps us with the algorithm. Spread it to your neighbors, to your friends, to your family. Let everyone
know. Dog. I mean, everybody.
Everyone. And we'll see you on the next play, okay?